Understand both sides, let the truth transcend. Stay in the great where perspectives intertwine. We seek the truth in the gray we define. In this podcast journey, minds open wide. Shades the truth on this impartial ride. A long time ago we started stumbling. Feels like this country's crumbling. The government is fumbling. A Congress that is bumbling. Both sides are always arguing. They all could use some humbling. And stop the world from tumbling. Rebuild the trust is plummeting. If ideas would start bubbling, our efforts could be doubling. And chaos would start slumbering. And people resume huddling. And talk about the trouble and concerns we're always juggling. Cooperate while snuggling. And quit the useless struggling.
Got it on that one.
You did. Hey, everybody. Hey, Trey.
Hello, sir.
How are you tonight?
Not bad. How are you?
No, I was asking our fans.
Oh. Jerk.
Now, how are you tonight, Trey?
Now I'm a little pissed.
You were good, now you're not.
Was good, now I'm mad.
Let me ask you a quick question.
About what?
Pornhub.
Yes.
I heard a rumor that they pay $36,000 for a porn clip if you put it on Pornhub.
Are you serious?
Are you interested? Not with me. Not with me.
$36,000.
I just saw that and I thought Trey may consider this because it's $36,000. Now there are a couple people that have gone on places like
wow,
what's the one that Reddit and things like that, and have said no, I'm on it and I do like this and this, and I've only been paid $300, and so they're kind of trying to debunk it. But
$300 will work too.
Yeah, but other people.
Can I be a solo act, or do I have to have somebody with me?
$25 to Applebee's. But then there's another guy that came on and he's like, hey, no, this is legit. Like I'm pumping them out. No pun intended. I'm trying to just
$36,000 for a video.
I think that's probably for the ones that maybe get
some hits and
or
stuff.
Something. I don't know, but
that's interesting.
I saw it and I thought of you.
You thought of me?
Thought of you. I thought that would be a good headline for tonight.
Damn.
And on to
can I wear like a mask or something?
Sure. I'm sure that our special show tonight is going to be really happy with our intro headline. Forgive us.
Hey,
forgive us.
We won't use animals.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with animals, except Trey when he's an animal. God. All right, moving on.
Please.
So tonight we have a very special show. You're only going to see a little bit of this angle tonight. I'm going to start with a quick story and you'll kind of see where this is going. I have another PETA story, and I have a feeling they may be listening or watching this episode.
I think so.
And my screensaver is right here, but I'll tell you why in a moment. Let's go to the story first, Trey.
Hit me.
The story is about a restaurant in Maryland called Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
Okay.
And apparently
he's pretty proud of himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
He just names it
Jimmy's Famous. Yeah. Famous. So Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and I think it's PETA as a whole, but we're going to say that PETA's founder and president, Ingrid Newkirk, has had issue, and I think it's because she lives close to there, and maybe that sparked it. So what happened is that every year since 1859, I believe.
It was a good year.
Fact check it yourself. Do your own research, right? So they do the crab race each year. And it's just about, it's kind of like the night of the horse race, at Peakness Downs or something, whatever it's called. And they go there and they race these crabs and they bet on them. It's fun. It's just like a fun thing.
Makes sense.
And they didn't even say whether they ate them or not. They just said that.
You don't eat the winning crab?
Well, no, maybe that's, the point is they didn't go any further. PETA didn't even want them running.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't understand. It's exercise, whatever.
What happened if the winning crab stays alive?
Ooh, there's extra incentive to win the race.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Hunger Games for crabs.
Right.
So they went in and PETA would put up a billboard right down the street, and then the restaurant would put up a one, and they would like battling by billboard.
That's pretty cool.
And so, PETA, I do not approve of this at all. Our contact Nicole, Ingrid Newkirk, I do not approve of this, but I have to mention that Jimmy's Famous Seafood made a shirt that I'm sure you're aware of, and they used the letters from PETA.
Okay.
And it says, "People eating tasty animals."
Oh, shit.
So this is not just a...
Did you already order ours?
Yeah, they're on their way. I sent them up to Nikki's office. But this is not just a quick little quarrel, Trey. This is something that's been going on for a while.
That's interesting.
A couple of years now, and so it came back up. And so I just didn't know what you thought about it. I mean, what PETA is suggesting is that they use crab robots. What do you think?
To do the races?
Yeah.
No.
But
That can manipulate.
do people have remote controls or like?
I don't know. I think that would just manipulate things. It doesn't make it a fair race. I think it has to be live crabs. But the crab catches eye of somebody else and runs the opposite direction. You know, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah,
get out of there.
He goes into the boiling water.
Right into the water.
Yeah.
If they go off of the railing,
They've got the boiling water on the sides.
Water. It's a big tub of boiling water. So I'd like to know from PETA, is this really, and again, as you're going to hear tonight a little bit, we question some of what PETA does. From this standpoint, to me, Trey, it's kind of like, are there other issues that need more attention when it comes to animals, when it comes to things like that? Even we talk about cow's milk, and we've made story, even the monkey selfie thing or something. But crab races, I just don't feel like it's worth. All right, what's PETA donors? Is the donors' money really going to stop crab races?
Yeah,
and the billboard. That's what it is. And we love our friends at PETA now, and so all I'm doing is asking. And again, I have a feeling you're listening, PETA. Let us know about this crab thing, ASAP, because as of now, I like a tasty crab,
with or without butter.
With or without butter, and I, we'll see what happens. We'll see what they say.
Should be fun.
But what it leads to is no secret at this point. We've hinted to it a bunch. I'm excited about this. I've been waiting to put this out, so.
We're still talking about Pornhub?
Or yes, Pornhub.
$36,000?
Yeah. You're still thinking about it. You're like,
That's a lot of money.
All right, what can I send in to get that $36K? But speaking of naked, she'll love that I led with that. We were so fortunate to now have a relationship with PETA. We joke with them a lot. We say we have contacts, but we really do, Trey, right?
We do, yeah.
They reached out with a couple of the animal stories we've done in the past, and they are good sports. They're willing to hear our bullshit and take our, what we just did.
Yeah, they've got a good sense of humor.
Good sense of humor, and their founder and president has really been willing to bear all, if you will, for the cause. And we are very fortunate, right, Trey, to have had an interview with the Ingrid Newkirk of PETA. And it started with a relationship with a couple of, mainly one of them, and I'll call her out, named Nicole. And she somehow decided that it was important that Ingrid come on our show.
Yeah.
And being open, Ingrid agreed. And unfortunately, we didn't get her live here in Dallas, but she honored her commitment to the show, and she came on via Zoom.
Which was very cool.
Which was very cool. And you'll hear why she agreed to come on the show. It was kind of a smart-ass remark, but I'll give it to her. She got us back. But we enjoyed this immensely, and I hope you guys enjoy. Last episode, if you listened, we had a Army veteran, a gun enthusiast for safety, the opposite end of the spectrum, if you will. And here you go with Ingrid Newkirk, who is with PETA and promoting veganism, and it's kind of crazy. If anybody doubts the amount of the different types of people we interview, then I challenge you to listen to these 2 shows in a row.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I will fade out here and give you the Zoom call that we had with Ingrid Newkirk, founder and president of PETA.
Hope you enjoy.
Enjoy, people. We'll see you after. Okay, well, we're so excited to have Ingrid Newkirk here with us today. I'm going to dive right in, if you don't mind. Ingrid Newkirk, for those of you that don't know, is the founder and president of PETA. Again, if you haven't heard of PETA, I don't know where you're living. It is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Why did you decide to come on our show?
I had nothing better to do this afternoon.
I love it.
No. You were our media department got in touch with you because you may have said something naughty. I don't know what you did, but they got in touch with you over food, I think, and perhaps you hadn't tried vegan food, and they decide everybody must try vegan food, so they were determined. And then I was coming to Dallas. That got postponed. And I thought I didn't want to leave you high and dry, wondering who else to shove on the show. So I thought we should do it by Zoom if you were okay with it.
Well, we really appreciate it. We're excited because I tell people and people that have asked, if you know us and you've listened to the show, we're not anti-PETA by any means. We just question some of, like, you've had to probably deal with most of your time there. And so what I thought was that it's a good opportunity to reach our listeners who are kind of all over the place, and you've already got your following. You don't need to reach them. And so I'm excited because a lot of our listeners have questions and they're just like, ask this. And so the story that got Nicole, if I can say her name, in touch with us was about a macaw monkey that took a selfie.
Oh,
we thought that case was interesting, and we mentioned it, of course, in a humorous way. And I tell you what, either a hashtag or something worked, and she reached right out and explained it, and I respected that completely. So that's how that came on. What I read was that your first, and correct me if I'm wrong, notable case in 1981 had to also do with the macaw monkey. Is that right? The experimental?
The Silver Spring monkeys?
The Silver Spring.
Indeed. Yeah, in Silver Spring, Maryland. Yes, we went into that laboratory not knowing what was there and found 17 monkeys kept in these tiny cages with broken wires, rust. They had their spines opened up by a psychologist with no medical training, no veterinary training.
Wow.
And that had rendered some of their arms pretty useless or totally useless, 1 or 2 arms. And the place was just filthy a mess. You could smell it before you got to it. We found barrels of dead monkeys, actually, in the garage. They had died of gangrene because they hadn't been treated for their wounds, and they would catch their fingers on the wire and tear them off because they didn't have proper feeling in them. So all sorts of things like that. And we busted them. We took the police in and we brought criminal charges against the psychologists and removed all the monkeys.
Was that the first case like that where it was raided? I think I read something like that.
It was many firsts, actually. It was the first raid on a laboratory. It was the first charges brought against an experimenter, the first conviction of an experimenter, the first removal of animals from a laboratory. There were lots and lots of firsts, and it was the first case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Right. And
the U.S. Supreme Court, the Supremes, as we call them, decided that we had a case and sent it down to be reconsidered. And a juror actually joined us in civil litigation to try to get permanent custody of the monkeys.
Wow. How did y'all get tipped off about this laboratory?
Well, funny enough, we didn't. We're deeply beholden to whistleblowers, people who work in all sorts of ugly places and tell us what's going on.
Okay.
But in this case, it was the closest laboratory listed on the United States Department of Agriculture list of laboratories that was the closest to my apartment. And so we just thought we'd wander over and have a look. And that's how it happened.
And you just, so it was just random and you ran into this? Wow.
Correct. And actually, almost every place we go into, we find that things are not as you would hope they would be. You know, I mean, I hope there are no animals used, but given that they are, you would hope that they would at least treat them decently, kindly, make them comfortable, give them painkillers. And invariably, we find that's not the case.
Yeah.
So it's extreme. I mean, if they're going to do it, they're doing it. It's extreme on the other side. This was, you say we, this was with a man named Alex Pacheco. Is that right?
Yes, he was a student. Yeah, you did. He was a student at GW University. He'd never been inside a lab. I had, because I had inspected laboratories for the government and found all sorts of horrible things in government laboratories. But he hadn't, and I thought it would be good experience for him to go and have a look.
Wow.
And what we found became the first case in U.S. history of taking animals out.
Was this a shell shock when you walked in on this, or is this something you've seen before and he hadn't? Or tell us about that experience.
Well, I think it would be a shell shock to anybody. The smell alone, the misery of the animals, and the absolute amateur nature of what was going on. Here's a man getting, I don't know, $1 million from the federal government out of our taxes, and nobody looking over his shoulder. And with no medical training, he's operating on them. He concocted this refrigerator. He converted a small fridge, like one you might have in your office, you know, for snacks, into an electric shock chamber that he would put the monkeys into. It was, you know, something that you knew had to be shown to the public. And that was the primary driver, is let's show the public what they're paying for. And it ended up being a very large case, and it deserved to be. One thing I will say, experimenters, scientists came from all over the country to defend that experiment, that psychologist in court, having never been inside the lab, having no idea what was being done. But, you know, brother to brother, they came to defend him. And I think that cost even a dirty spell over them.
I can imagine.
I bet you come into that a lot with these people trying to defend friends of friends and friends, that whole network. Yes. And I have something kind of that relates to that here in a bit. Real quick, thank you and your company for the delicious meal that you sent us. I wanted to thank you right off the bat. I still have some of the fries over here, but you know, we didn't know what to expect, and I thought, all right, they're not going to send us something that's going to turn us. They're going to send us something really good, and it's similar to what, you know, we're used to. I'm not going to lie, we thought about reciprocating, but we figured you wouldn't want to eat the opposite of what you sent us, so that was out the window. But it was very delicious, and I wanted to ask real quick. And look, we have Ingrid Newkirk on, and I'm going to ask about the food, if you don't mind. Mayonnaise. How do they replace that? There was something like mayonnaise. Isn't mayonnaise definitely not vegan?
Well, there are. In fact, even Hellmann's has a vegan mayonnaise these days. There's mayonnaise, and they call them all sorts of cute names. But yes, you can get vegan mayonnaise. You can get vegan foie gras if you want to be very la-di-da. You can get vegan sausages, vegan fish, vegan shrimp. There's no taste these days that I think you could challenge me. I went to a restaurant in Philadelphia, and they had vegan sea slug on the menu of a Chinese restaurant. I thought, no, thank you, but
that's
still.
not something
interesting.
Not something Trey would do.
Not at all.
Trey was scared today. Trey was scared. He didn't know what was to expect. He's not a vegetable guy. But it ended up being really, really tasty. And for somebody that hasn't, I'll admit to you, I've never tried plant-based meat ever.
That's my first time too. Yep.
So to do that today was pretty cool. I'm not surprised because I've heard people say before that it's delicious and just to try it. I could tell a little difference, but it was still, I mean, we knocked it down.
What did you get?
5 minutes.
It was from Pinky Cole's place, wasn't it? What did you get?
Slutty Vegan, if we want to plug them real quick. Well, God, you guys did really good.
A couple different burgers, like a chicken type sandwich, and crinkle fries, both plain and with some type of sauce mixture on there. It was lettuce and just kind of, it was good. It was, I can't lie, I actually enjoyed it. So.
Oh, good.
It was the way to reach our hearts is burgers and fries. And we did. And like I said, we really appreciate it. So I wanted to thank you right off the bat for that.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
I'm going to ask you, what made you, was there one incident? And again, anybody can pick up Wikipedia. Anybody can go to PETA. I mean, you've proudly listed all of your, again, I'll ask you some of these questions in a minute about some of your adventures. But you can go on PETA.org and check all of it out. You're not afraid to say anything. But was there one thing as a child, one point, I've heard different things on my research, one thing that made you this passionate, but also intense is a word I like to use. You're very intense in a good way.
Well, that's very kind of you. There were many things along the way. I was a slow learner. But when I was born, there was a dog in my home called Sean. And I'm an only child. We grew up together. And so we were like brother and sister. You know, I would sleep in his dog bed basket. He would sleep on my bed, and we'd go for walks together. And we were just together. We would go out to see my grandmother in the car, and we both throw up at the same time because we would both get car sick. So, you know, if someone had done something to him, experimented on him, or made him into a coat or shoes or something, I mean, I don't know what I would have done. It just would be out of the question. So I related to him. And I think that probably got under my skin in other ways. I always liked animals because of him, I think. And so as a child growing up, I rescued baby birds and squirrels, as children do. But my family, we ate animals, we wore animals, we went to the circuit, we did all those things. I didn't make the connection between Sean and those other animals we were eating and wearing and so on. But yes, there were a lot of things. One of the things was, you'll find this very odd, but for a birthday, I was taken out to a seafood restaurant that was quite famous in Philadelphia. And we were drinking wine, we were having a great time. Waiter came over, and I had ordered lobster, and he showed me several lobsters on a plate, and they wiggled their antennae at me.
No.
Yeah, I picked one, and he said, broiled or boiled? And at that time, I didn't realize if you say broiled, in most places, they take the live lobster, split open the back, put butter and salt, and then shove them under the grill. Wow. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I mean, they don't exactly advertise it.
You could hear them screaming too. I heard in the boiler. Is that lobster
pot.
In the pot?
Yeah,
right?
In the pot they scream. Some people say it's just a whistling sound. I mean, who knows? But I wouldn't like to be boiled alive.
True.
So the lobsters came back to the table, and I put the first bite in my mouth, which was warm from the oven or from the grill, and it just struck me. It must have been subconsciously. I realized I just killed this lobster for this fleeting taste, and that lobster can't speak. You know, they don't have language that I understand. And they wiggled their antennae at me. It was all they could ever do. And I just ignored it and said, I'll take that one broiled.
Yeah.
And I just thought there's something wrong with this. I can have anything I want almost, you know. And yet I chose to take this lobster's life. So it started with lobsters.
Do you believe that he was trying to tell you something with the end?
I don't know, but he could have been, because what else could he do?
Right.
But I do know I took his life for no real reason. I could have had the wine and something else and been just as happy.
So it started with lobster. To me, this is why I'm happy I asked that question, because I've heard about a story about a dog that was in the mud and the kids were, torturing him. I heard a couple of different I think Trey heard something about kittens.
I heard a kitten story where you said you weren't familiar with the verbiage of put them down, and they ended up killing them right there while you were still there. So.
Yeah, and a pig. I mean, I came across a pig on a farm when I was a law enforcement officer, and the people had moved from the farm. They left all the animals behind. The only animal still alive was a small pig. I took the pig out to the water pump and I held his head up, or her head up, don't remember, and pumped out water. And this pig made these little grateful sort of grunty sounds while trying to drink. And then I sent the pig off to the vet. And going home that evening thinking, I'm going to charge these people with cruelty, with abandonment. This is so awful. I thought, ooh, what have I got for dinner? And then I thought, oh, that's right. I defrosted the pork chops. And then, bam, I thought, hang on a minute. You can't imagine. I hadn't been at that point to a slaughterhouse. I have been since. But we all know what it must be like. You don't go there for a picnic and take your kids. And I thought, well, I'm paying somebody to do something hideous to a pig. And yet I'm going to charge these people with doing something hideous to a pig. Yeah. Hang on a minute. So that was the end of bacon and ham.
Wow.
I had one of my close friends, his wife, for no other reason than she at age 8 walked into a slaughterhouse, is now become vegetarian. I don't think she's full vegan, but it was traumatic. And so you're telling me that there's multiple things that kind of got you over the years. And so was it up until you were until 1980 or 1979 that were you kind of planning? Was it building and then you finally snapped, or was it just a coincidence?
I didn't snap.
No snapping. Oh, no snap.
No snapping, but I gradually, slowly started to do things differently, and I started to see I had choices. And liking animals, I didn't really want to be responsible for hurting any of them if there was a choice. I mean, never hurts you to be kind. So I found out back then there were very few choices. Today there's a wealth of them, but back then I remember I had a pair of leather Weegians that I really liked, these shoes, these Bash shoes. And somebody who I had met who had read this book about leather production said to me, "You like animals, why are you wearing those shoes?" Oh, damn. So they went in the Goodwill box, and that was the last pair of leather shoes I had. And since then, I've been to India, I've been to the tanneries, I've seen the pollution. If you care about the environment, you don't even have to care about animals. You just think, probably not.
Right. Again, I imagine many people kind of catch themselves, I hate to use the word being hypocritical, but I guess it applies. Where all of a sudden I also read a story where somebody was telling you about animal cruelty and they were drinking a glass of milk and you're going, well, you're basically, doing this and saying another thing. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I think we got permission to ask you this. Whenever we have a guest, we do a would you rather.
Who gave you permission?
I know she may be fired. We do a would you rather, and I don't think you'll mind this. We have 2 of them for you, and the one thing we heard about Ingrid Newkirk is that she's a good sport, and I'm hoping that's the case here. It's not that big of a deal. I just want to know, if you had to go based on your history, steak or chicken, and you had to do it to save all of the animals, which one would it be?
Steak. Okay. Because the steak, you can get how many out of a cow if you had to do it? And a chicken, you eat half or a whole chicken or something like that. So you take many more lives if you chose chicken. but I would choose whale.
You choose whale.
Okay.
Because
because
everybody
you get a
loves
lot of
whales
steaks.
because they don't eat them. But if you had to eat one, how many meals could you get out of taking one whale?
That's a lot of whale.
I've never tried whale before.
It's not a real thing.
Me neither.
Let's not try. Well, that leads me to another question. I'm obviously all out of order here. We tried to do an order to our show, Ingrid, and it doesn't ever happen.
It did throw me off with the whole.
Yeah. But when it comes to whales and lobster, sea animals of all kinds are included in the vegan mindset, or are there any?
Is this a two-parter?
Yes, I guess so.
Yes. So yes.
So yes to all of it. Everything in the ocean. There are some vegans that claim they can eat oysters. Is that for any type of reason?
I don't know. I mean, I used to eat oysters, loved oysters, never liked them fried, but liked them raw. Yeah. Until I saw the worms in them. And that was before I was vegan. Then I thought, no, I'm not going to go there.
No.
But yes, some people think bivalves, it's all right to eat bivalves. But then I saw a documentary, not that I needed to, I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But this documentary showed all the eyes they have. A clam, I don't think an oyster, but a clam has, I think, hundreds of eyes.
I've seen that too. I've seen that. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat that.
No.
Okay. Do you want to ask the second one, Trey?
Oh, about curing world hunger. Would you drink a glass of milk or eat scrambled eggs?
To cure world hunger?
There we go. Yeah. It's got to be extreme, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You do both.
But which one?
A glass of milk or some scrambled eggs. I guess an egg, because
same
the
reasoning.
milk belongs to the calf who is deprived of that milk, whereas the egg doesn't even have to be fertilized. It's just almost a throwaway.
She crushed these questions.
These are way too easy.
Yeah, I know. Well, that leads me to an off-script question. One of the stories that we did was about being called, or that it was feminist if you drank milk, even as far as being called white supremacist. Was that a true statement? I think it happened in 2017, and then it kind of came back up in some news recently. Can you kind of defend those two things? Because I'm not going to lie to you, guys like us are going, okay.
I missed the first one. I'll answer the second one and then ask you to tell me what you said on the first one. The second one, we simply repeated. We didn't invent it. We mentioned that some white supremacist groups were calling milk the drink of white people or something, that it was the drink for white people. And that because I believe it was because many Black people are lactose intolerant. And that was a factor in it, to say, look, we're superior, we're white, and we can tolerate drinking milk. Therefore, it's the milk, the drink of choice.
So it was stated by others. It wasn't you guys just saying, okay. Imagine that, the media twisting something into... and I just wanted to clear that up because, of course, I don't know if you've seen any of our clips, but that was one of them. And it was kind of like, well, if I go and get a glass of milk, am I all of a sudden a white supremacist? It's again, you take it too far when you say stuff like that. But I just wanted to kind of clear that up. The first one was sexist. And you mentioned the calves. They belong to the calves. And is that what that's all about?
No, I mean, that's a separate thing. You're saying, did we say that milk is sexist? Yes. Because the cow is invariably these days artificially inseminated. What they do is a man usually, 99.9% of the time, but it probably wouldn't matter, sticks their arm up the cow's rectum, feels for the uterus, and then sticks a long needle with semen taken from the bull into the uterus. That is rape.
Wow.
I don't care. You don't have to be a woman to be raped. Rape is an act, a sexual act. And so this cow being artificially inseminated, which is not pleasant, and usually their heads have to be restrained while this procedure is being carried out, she's being treated because of her sex as just available. and a milk machine. And she's not. She's a mother, and she has a cough, and she loves her baby, as all mothers do. And yet we do that so that she can make milk for her child. And then we take the child away and make veal. And we take the milk away and we do pizza cheese topping. It doesn't really, it isn't nice. It's sexist too.
I was always under the impression that perhaps they at least let the male cow perform the act, but this is the first I've heard of that. And so these are the types of things that we don't hear about.
Rarely do they have the bull do it, although sometimes they do, but commonly it's artificial insemination. And actually some of the farmers, if you read the old publications, the USDA publications, they call it a rape rack that she's put on while they do the deed.
It's called a raper rack?
Rape rack.
Rape rack. Wow. Okay.
What do they feed the calves instead of the mother's milk?
They have some sort of formula. It takes out the goodness that the cow needs to grow properly and to become resistant to disease and so on. I mean, that first, I forget what you call it, but that first mother's milk contains so much goodness that the baby needs. And they give them some sort of formula. They often, because it's devoid of the nutrients they need, they get scours, which is a diarrheal disease. We're probably sending all your listeners scurrying to go and do something else. So I'm so sorry. But there's nothing nice about factory farming. They get scours, which is a diarrheal disease, which just goes all down their backsides and they have to stand in it. But yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, again, we just don't think about the offspring. We don't think about the calves, and again, veal's a whole different ball game, and it's just one of those things that I think Trey and I will both admit that we don't think twice when we eat meat. I mean, we just what we've grew up with, and it tastes delicious, and that's it. Now, what I've told PETA as an organization, whether it be Nicole or whoever we've talked with, is that I absolutely despise animal cruelty. Yet I'm being a hypocrite and I'll eat meat or whatever. But to me, my wife is all about grass-fed and these types of things. And let's do our best if we're going to eat meat because of the protein or because of whatever, then let's at least try to do more humane care of the animals. You can answer if doesn't matter in a minute, but really for me, it's trophy hunting, these types of things. It just eats at me. And so for somebody like myself, I think that's why we're so happy to have you, is because there is so much more that we don't know and don't think about, but yet we're with you in a lot of things. So we agree on a lot, but we also question a lot. And I'll ask you a few of those in a second. But does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I don't really think, maybe it's hypocrisy, I don't really think of it that way. I think how hard it is for those of us who grew up being habituated to drinking milk, eating meat, doing all these things. Our taste buds are that we crave it. I mean, who craves broccoli, So
Not Trey.
Well, he might later. He might be just starting on this journey.
Good story ever started with, I ate a great salad, and then this happened. So.
Exactly. But what we're trying to do, if we care, or something becomes eye-opening to us, is we're trying to wrap our heads around it. And I think that's where it starts, where we say, well, I'll have one meat-free day a week. That's great. That's better than 7. I'll try grass-fed. Frankly, I think that's a lot of rubbish. But it sells well. It sells well. We'll only buy local. I mean, we try to make these concessions, but what we're doing, I think, is we're saying, I'm addicted to all this stuff. I want this stuff. I don't care about broccoli. I want meat. And cheese has an addictive thing in it. Cheese has casomorphines in it. Morphines.
So that's why I can't stop eating
You eat cheese, you want to eat it again. and you want to eat it again. That's what dairy is. And they know that. That's how they can sell so much of it, double cheese, triple cheese on your pizza. But we're saying, I'm addicted and I'm going to find ways that I can cling to this habit because I don't want to give it up because I like the taste of it and I can't imagine having a world without it. But actually, if you do give it up, it's like smoking. You might try and then you go back, try and you go back. But if you do give it up and you think, I don't want lung cancer, my father had lung cancer, whatever you think, no, I'm not going down that road. If you do the same with meat and dairy, after a while, you think, God, it looks like roadkill, doesn't it? And what does it smell like? And you just think, I'm drinking mucus. It becomes revolting, but it takes a little time.
Do you find this is a United States issue, or is it more, or it is all over?
It's all over in different degrees. People are stunned to hear that in India, while a lot of people are vegetarian for religious reasons, usually, they drink more milk than almost anybody else on the planet. And they cling to it. I mean, if you say, here's the problem, factory farms have come to India, and here's what's going on. They're like, oh, I don't want to hear that. No, I have to have milk.
What was it? The morphine or
casomorphines.
Casomorphines. Yeah. That's it. I'm going to jump quickly just because we only have you for a certain amount of time. And I tell you what, it was so hard to figure out what I wanted to put into this time. I'd have an easier time with Taylor Swift because there's just so much history with you, and it's so admirable, even if we're questioning things, to see someone with passion. And I love that. It's my favorite word. But you've done some stuff to really show that passion. Do you mind talking about some of that?
I don't.
Trey was fascinated by the fact that he read somewhere that you liked, or not liked, but you got naked a lot for these for these types of protests, types of you're trying to get through to people. And the one that got me, of course, and it's on PETA, it's on the site, people see it, but for people that don't go look, you hung yourself on a hook, correct, next to some dead pigs, naked. Can you, and I guess people can try and figure it out, but the naked part, can you explain why that's key to that? I mean, sometimes it must be cold.
Yes. Yes, it wasn't particularly cold that day.
But okay.
Now you're going to lose more viewers when they look at me and they think, oh God, she's 75 and she's hanging naked or something.
No.
But, back in the day, sex sells. And if you tell people something is going to be done naked, everybody goes to have a look. So we use gimmickry, we use nudity, we use sex, we use humor, we use whatever we can think of to get people to have a look or a listen. And so we started the I'd rather go naked than wear fur campaign 44 years ago. And now, of course, nobody really wears fur. Back then, little girls wanted a fur when they grew up. That was the big thing. So that campaign had Kim Basinger and Pam Anderson and all these people who people wanted to have a look. But
yeah, I think we're interested in this campaign now.
Well, a lot of times they weren't actually naked, of course. They had a strategically placed banner or something, a lettuce bikini. But
we're okay with that too.
I'm Googling right now.
Well, now we'll go away from sex, just to nudity. Is that, I don't know, some years ago, a few years ago, 8 years ago, something, the Times of London, I think it was doing a feature on me. I was in London because we have an office there. And the antagonistic writer of this piece said to me, well, you've been naked so many times. Why don't we take a photograph of you standing naked on the desk in your office? And I said, it doesn't work that way. I don't just take my clothes off for the hell of it. There has to be a point So if you want the naked picture, let's go down to Smithfield Market, where all these pigs are slaughtered, and I will hang with the pigs on a meat hook. And so that's how that picture came about. And all these butchers heard that somebody was going to be hanging with the dead pigs, with the pig bodies, decapitated. And even decapitated, they're about the same size as me. Their skin was the same color as mine. You know, they had 2 arms and 2 legs hanging there. And all these butchers came to have a look because they thought it was very exciting. And then they saw it was me, and they were incredibly disappointed. But I hope I made a point.
Well, yeah, I saw that picture, and you're right about the pigs, and it just looked, it was just a mess. And
we looked the same.
The pigs.
Yeah, we look the same.
Well, and that's part of what it is. I mean, I read you spent 15 days in jail just for principle, so that they'd have to pay money to keep you there. Is that right? Was that something that you did on a kind of spur of the moment, or when did you realize I'm going to stick it to them financially?
Well, it was a little bit more than that. It was actually, this happened 2 years in a row that I spent just over 2 weeks in the Pottsville prison in Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. And it was actually fascinating because from my cell, I could look out and I could see the slab where the Molly Maguires, those were the agitators for the mining community who came over from Ireland, were hanged right there in that quadrant. But anyway, they used to have a pigeon shoot. It's stopped now, thank God. But they would round up pigeons in Philadelphia or somewhere, drag them out to this field, and people would come out and they would let them go. And then people would shoot at them, and they would raise money, believe it or not, for the fire department. So we said, look, it's just,
wow.
This is not really something you need to do. If you want to get rid of the pigeons, you can do so humanely. But some of these people couldn't shoot the side of a barn. And I remember walking in the stands, and there was a child, about 7 or 8. I'm not very good with the ages of children, size of a golden retriever. And this father had the child, and the child was upset because they would shoot pigeons, and some of them would be wing shot. They would come down. Others, pigeons, they mate for life. They would sit beside them. Anyway, this kid turned away and he was sobbing, and his father took him by the shoulders and turned him around and said, "You will watch." And so it was child abuse as well. Anyhow, I led a bunch of people and we ran onto the field, which luckily, maybe not today, but then it made people stop shooting. And, you never know.
No, you're right.
Especially here in Texas.
Yeah.
It's true. But that was Pennsylvania. Actually, the KKK was there one year, which is supporting the shoot. So we ran onto the field and the gun stopped. And one year there was a man, young boy, 18 or something, holding down a carton of crate of pigeons. And he had a string. And what he would do would pull the string and the pigeons would fly up and then they would start shooting. So I saw that and I just ran at him and I threw myself at his chest and knocked him over backwards. All the pigeons went up and escaped. So we were locked up and we stayed in jail. And I thought, I'm not going to make bail. I mean, I'm not going to pay you for this. You need to stop this shoot. So everybody decided to have bail solidarity. And we just sat there. And it was quite interesting because they had to learn how to feed all these vegans, which they never even heard of.
That's funny. That's great. Funny in a certain way.
Yeah.
It was a group of you that sat together and said, we're all going to do this. And was there anybody that was like, no, I don't want to.
I need to get home.
But
there were a lot of people who decided to bail out, but the majority of us decided to stay in. And in fact, it was so crowded, they didn't have enough cells for us. So we slept on the floor in the main cell block. And it was an interesting experience. There were a lot of women there who had come, who were already there. Some of them were heroin addicts, and they didn't have a doctor in the facility, which by law they are required to have. And these poor women, would have a fit or something and would fall and bang their head. So we ended up suing the jail and got them a doctor.
Wow.
So that worked out.
Yeah, that's great. The one more that I want to ask you about, and it hits home to me because every Christmas here in Dallas, there are areas that you drive through, you see the horses pulling the carts and the snow ride, even though Dallas never snows, but it's those kinds of carriage rides. I saw a picture of you dragging one of those things yourself with a bit in your mouth. What sparked that? And were you, how long did you drag that thing?
Well, it was quite heavy.
I imagine.
It was actually in Mumbai, in India, where we were trying to stop the carriage rides. These are old, they've stopped now, we got it stopped, called Victorias. And they go back to the British Raj years ago, where they have these ornate, massive carriages, and tourists would ride around in them. It's India, where a lot of people don't have enough to eat. So you can imagine the condition of the horses under those blankets. They're just racks of bones and have sores and what have you. And they don't have stables. They just tie them up under an underpass at night, and they're covered in flies and what have you. So we decided this has got to go. We will provide and set you on the road to getting these electric vehicles, which can be ornate, and you can still have a living, and you can take tourists around. So the story of that day was I decided to make a photo for the newspapers of me pulling a cart to make people think that can't be pleasant in the heat and the dust and everything. But dozens of carriage horse drivers arrived after that picture was taken. We had just got into the car to leave, and they started rocking the car back and forth and pounding on the car. And the police came, but they were outnumbered. And so the police ended up taking us all to the police station and eventually charged us all, and the charges were dropped. But it made the point, and we managed to get Victoria's banned in Mumbai. It's now electric cars.
Wow.
Wow. I'm curious to know how many countries you've had charges in now.
We don't
Sorry,
talk
go ahead.
about that.
That wasn't on your bio.
Oh, no, that wasn't on my... Oh, go ahead.
On her bio.
Go on.
Again, I wish I had you here for 3 hours, but I'm sure you have better things to do for sure than sit with us. But let me ask, this is one of the most basic questions that I'm sure you get, but I just want to hear it directly now that I'm talking with you, or we're talking with you, is humans are considered animals. That's the point. We're supposed to be equal with the animals and all that. So is there a food chain element to it? And you know where I'm going with that. Is there a food chain element to where we've developed a certain way over other animals, and us hunting for food would be the same as a lion hunting a gazelle? Or is that just a silly comparison?
Well, it's not an accurate comparison. Again, I think it's something that people are hoping is the case so they could carry on eating a carnivorous diet. But you're right, we are one animal among many, and we've made ourselves into gods virtually and decided all the other living beings are trash. We can do anything we want with them. But no, there was recently, I think 2 days ago, there was an article that came out about the paleo diet. And scientists of now, or anthropologists, whatever they are, have gone back and examined, I suppose, fecal matter and stomach content. I don't know what they did, fossils. And they have decided that the paleo diet was vegan. So this is quite a shocker to many people. But that aside, no, if you listen to Richard Leakey, who is an anthropologist, the most famous one probably, right. He's the fellow who sent Jane Goodall out to study chimpanzees.
Right.
We're primates, orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, monkeys. we're in the primate category. And primates don't have the right kind of teeth to be true carnivores. They may eat meat occasionally, all of them, but really we have grinding teeth for plant matter. We have windy intestines, and if you put meat in it, it starts to decompose as soon as you eat it, and it has a long journey to make before you get rid of it. Whereas true carnivores have these short intestines that are straight and direct, and they expel meat before they can suffer the effects of decomposition. We have fingers for plucking. We don't have claws for tearing. So we are not carnivorous. So you can invent, different things, reasons to carry on eating animals, but it's really not what we're made for. It's what nature has equipped us to do.
That's interesting.
Well, way to bring facts to our show, Ingrid. we don't often no.
Don't often have facts on the show. Is that what you were going to say?
we sometimes make a no. That's why I asked the basic question, is because most people will sit there and say what I said, which is, okay, well, the lions kill, they eat meat, they do this and that, but you start thinking about us being primates, and that was the perfect answer. I'm sure you've given it a few times in the past.
Yeah, but people do tend to say, well, I want to do what's natural. I want to have a natural diet. And then you tell them, well, actually, that's not the natural. Oh, I don't want to do the other one that actually is natural. And natural is being naked. Nobody really wants to walk around naked. I mean, there are lots of things that are natural that nobody wants to do.
I think Trey supports the naked movement. You're right. I mean, and to us, what's natural is, of course, like you said earlier, what we grow up with, what we're taught, what we're force-fed, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And Trey, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did have a question. If PETA had the power to grant human-level intelligence to one species of animals, which one would it be and why?
Oh, Lordy.
He wrote that down, obviously. That's not how
Trey,
he really talks.
can I first, would you mind if I argued with you a little bit on this human level of intelligence thing?
I support this. I support this.
Because there are various forms of intelligence, and we have human intelligence, not necessarily human level, implying that it's superior, but we can do all sorts of things like create nuclear weapons and who knows, things we don't. Well, some of us can. Most of us can't figure out how the computer works or the phone.
Right.
We certainly couldn't send someone into space, so some few humans do. But animals all have their own talents. They all have their innate understandings. They all have their own forms of communication. And they're all bright. I mean, they all figure things out. People think, oh, that animal's so dumb. Well, yeah, a bird can fly 7,000 miles across the ocean without a bite to eat or anything to drink, guiding by the currents of the winds, by the stars. A beetle, actually, like a dung beetle, goes backwards, pushing a roll of dung while being guided by the Milky Way. I mean, there are things that they do that are beyond our comprehension, and certainly we're not smart enough to do them. And the examples are so vast. So I can't really.
We're going to mess up my question with logic, and it's not fair. So
sorry.
Well, with you do hear about these, and I do a lot of stories about orcas. Trey laughs at me. He's going to buy me an orca T-shirt. But I'm fascinated by their intelligence, obviously, and some of the ways they've been attacking boats, and they do different things with dolphins and or with seals, and it's just, to me, my mind has been open to some of these types of things that we haven't wrapped our heads around. I do want to mention, though, that birds do fly into windows, and like I mean,
Yeah.
but that's kind of like humans. They're the smartest human could also do something stupid at the same time.
Walk into a glass door.
We can walk into a glass door.
I did. I smashed my nose in a glass door. Maybe I'm not very smart after all. But, when a child walks into it, nobody has explained to a bird that the thing you can see through or that mirrors the trees outside is actually some fabricated thing that you're going to smash into. I don't think that's. I don't think that goes against intelligence.
So you did a great on the show. We take pride in our segues, and you helped me there with the dung beetle. Insects are included as well. I hate them. And I'm not gonna lie.
No, you don't. All of them. Bees. You hate bees.
You should hear him squeal. Yes.
We live in Texas, and the cockroaches, it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be, but they are disgusting to me. And I just can't love every animal if a cockroach is included. But bees, I mean, I respect the honey. And I mean, yes, of course. But there's some weird looking ones, and they latch onto me, and I'm not a fan. But so I'm disappointed to hear that they're a part of. I bet, but there's a real basic question. I just didn't know. So it's every living creature, insects, anything. I mean, until you get to all the algae and all that, coral and things like that. But
I don't think it's really that important to figure out where you draw the line at the bottom. I always say this, what's important is to stop drawing the line. Cows feel. I mean, right. Dogs and raccoons. And I mean, all these ones absolutely feel and think and so on. So you need to whittle your way down. And, it doesn't hurt to be kind. I have to tell you a cockroach story, though.
Oh, here we go. Trey does this to me all the time.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm ready.
People would ask me, what about insects? Where do you draw the line? And I would say, well, I understand chickens and I understand horses. And I'm not so sure about insects. I know a lot more about insects now, and it's quite uncomfortable to think about. But one morning, I went into my kitchen. This is DC, so we have cockroaches too. And I'm not
in the White House. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All of the Senate, all of the houses. We're not trying to.
We are apolitical.
That's right. There you go.
And frankly, no one has been in the White House that has done much good for animals.
There you go.
Yeah. So I walk into the kitchen, and there is a cockroach. He sees me. Maybe it's a he or she, I don't know, sees me and I see him at the same time, and he just flees. And I'm looking for him, and he's gone behind a sugar container. So everything's quiet, and I go up and I look over the side of the top of the sugar container, and there he is. And I swear, it was as if he had squashed himself back up against the side of the container and was holding his breath and thinking, hopefully she doesn't
see me.
Okay, that's pretty funny. That I can just see this little cockroach just
look at me.
around.
I'm 120 pounds. He's what? Less than an ounce. I mean, he's just.
We're not down here.
I'm 5'6". He's nothing, the size of a pin. And here he's hiding from me. I mean, for God's sake, I didn't want to be the bully of the century. So
I would have had to
now I find, PETA has a guide, if anybody cares, about how you can get ants or mice or cockroaches out of the house without lethal means. And George Carlin used to say, animal rights, I know, animal rights are the sort of people who would invent a spray for cockroaches. It wouldn't kill them. It would just make them go somewhere else to think things over.
There you
Sounds
go.
perfect to
That's
me.
it.
Yeah.
If I knew that worked, Ingrid, I would do that. But I'm too
I'll send you the guide.
Yes.
Let me work with monkeys and things first, and then we'll work our way down.
Go to cockroaches.
Go to cockroaches. I know we only have just a few more minutes. And I wanted to ask you about this, and this is something that somebody brought up to me who, it's interesting because it does seem, now that we talk, when it comes to horses, a lot of people believe in the human horse bonding and that there is that. And I'll just say my sister grew up English style riding and that whole competition, and the bond that she had with her horse I could kind of see it, and maybe I'm off. But now, of course, I'm leading somewhere with this. There are these mustangs that are being shipped off, right, to Mexico, to Canada, to the slaughterhouses. And I saw that you do have something on it up on the website. But there are people that are saying, and I say people, a couple people have come and said, we really care about this, and PETA's not doing anything. Is that something that you feel like you should be involved in everything, or is it okay to say, hey, we're not supportive of this, but what would you like us to go do? Lay down, or So what do you make of that? If somebody says PETA's not doing this?
Well, they say all sorts of things about us, and some is true and some is not. We're doing lots of things with horses. One of the things, we're not involved in the Mustang situation because there are groups who specifically and solely work on that with the Bureau of Land Management. They're not getting anywhere because it's the government. But anyway, there you go. So we don't like to trip over other groups doing things that are useful and that they're focusing on. But with the slaughter business, where they're going to Mexico and they're going to Canada, we have actually followed horses out of the country to the slaughterhouses. You have to be careful in Mexico. I mean, you just saw the 3 Australian fellows who were killed. It's very difficult over the border there from California. You could be killed easily, especially if you're investigating some nefarious thing they're doing.
Sure.
But we went over the border into Canada, and we've publicized about it. We've talked about horse meat in Europe, in Canada, and in Mexico, about horse meat in dog food, about getting a retirement program for horses from the tracks. That's very important because a lot of horses who race, as they go down in winnings, they end up being turfed out to the auction houses, and many of them are bought for meat. So we go to the tracks, we talk about drugging on the tracks, we talk about all those sorts of things, and we have managed to get money set aside from some tracks and from some betting schemes to go into retirement of racehorses. It's a drop in the bucket, but you chip away.
That's a great idea, yeah.
So you're involved as much as you can at each time. You're not going to be involved with everything. What I got was that other groups are doing this and we're not going to step on toes. If you feel like you need to, because it's not getting done, you may look to do that. But for somebody to claim that PETA is turning the other way on this is not right. That's just false, right? You're not going to say, and I assume that, and obviously, but it just was something that I had multiple people mention when I said we're going to be chatting with Ingrid, and I just thought the intensity that my sister loved her horse with, even though you'd maybe disagree with it being held with the bits or what are those called?
Bits.
Okay, I was right, Trey.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, and so I just wanted to ask you about that. I know we're up against it here. Did you have anything else, Trey?
No.
I have one question, and I don't know why I want to ask it, but I do. What is the most vile, disgusting thing that you've ever seen, if you had to pick one thing when it comes to animal cruelty?
That's an awfully tough thing because my heart has been broken many times and I've seen really disgusting things because we've been behind the scenes in so many places that people don't go.
Right.
As you were saying earlier, you don't really think about the slaughterhouse. You certainly don't see it usually unless you work in it. And you see the dancing pigs on the barbecue sign and, the happy animals on the truck and so on in the drawings and the cartoons. One of the most terrible things to me, it may sound awful, is, is dogs being chained outside. I know this is kind of incongruous because I've seen so many horribly gory, hideous things like the Chinese markets with the cats being slammed onto the ground for fur and experimentation, which is just hideous. But it breaks my heart because a dog left out on a chain in all weather, in the sun, in the winter, with no life, when they're pack animals. And sometimes people forget to look after, they watch life go by, and it's all day, all night, day after day, night after night. And here you have a social animal who's basically gone out of their mind because there's nothing for them to do, nowhere to go. If they were free, they could dig their own hole and get in it out of the weather. They could run somewhere and find food if they're hungry, or water from a puddle. But somebody has decided to chain them up in the backyard, probably as far away from the house as it can be. And I think chaining should be banned across the United States.
Man, she made that sound like my first marriage.
Trey, are you going to ask me about how you are going to become a vegan now that you're a pre-vegan? The steps that you are going to have to take?
I'm definitely going to be more open to it, yes. Probably a little less onions and lettuce on the burgers, but yeah, I'm definitely open to it now.
Thank you.
That's all that, and that kind of leads us to the end. And that's the one thing I was going to say before you go. First off, thank you so much. I mean, like I said, I feel like we just started and we just appreciate it. And I know you've got a lot to do besides talk to a up and coming, hopefully, a podcast. But what it leads me to is people, like I mentioned earlier, like us, who are open to talking. And that's the point of our show, Stay in the Gray podcast. We want to stay neutral, stay in the gray, listen. We're going to have our opinions, but we're ultimately want to hear everybody. How are we supposed to learn if you don't listen? And that's the problem, at least in this country, is there's one side over here and one side over here, and that's it. And no one wants to talk with most issues, especially, obviously, politics. If you had one thing to say here, just to people like us, our listeners mostly, what's advice that you would give to have that open mind when it comes to animals? Or is that too vague?
No, it puts me on the spot to come up with something really clever, which I really can't.
It doesn't have to be clever on this show.
But, today I read something which we've all seen before that says, if you want peace, which you could take as if you want to change someone's mind, don't talk to the people who agree with you. Talk to the people who don't. Is trying to keep an open mind. And if you care about a dog in your home, or you care about any animal at all, or you just don't like cruelty, maybe you don't like animals, but you just don't like unkindness or cruelty, then please just maybe come to the website, do something, take a step, just do a little something. Doing anything that's good is better than not doing anything at all.
Couldn't have answered any better than that. I think you got some people with the dog. Trey's a huge dog person. My mom, I love dogs, and I think that's an answer I didn't expect, and one that I think hits home for more people to
Absolutely.
At least open the door to other animals as well.
But if you had a chicken, you'd feel the same way about them. They're wonderful too.
I think everything except a cockroach, I would bond.
We'll work on that.
Could bond with.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We're gonna keep an eye out on the PETA website, and thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All right,
Good luck,
with everything. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
All right.
Bye.
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 So there she was, the Ingrid Newkirk.
I think we let her off a little light.
Yeah. When I listened back, I kind of felt the same. I thought, I was just kind of sitting there, and she's done so much, been through so much, as you heard.
We could have used more time with her.
Oh, man. She seemed a little ready to to go there at the end. She was kind of like, all right, guys, see you later. And I admit we only had her for an hour, and she gave us that, and that was a lot. Trey and I could have gone on for, hopefully, maybe she'll give us some time later down the road.
Yeah.
I thought of 3 or 4 things after that interview that I I meant to ask her this.
Of course, I talked to friends afterwards, and they were like, "Oh, did you ask her about this?" I said, "I've been telling you guys about this. You should have told me to ask her that." Yeah. So anyway,
just not a lot of. I mean, it just goes by so fast, and I wanted to know the details of some of her adventures and some of her quests in this, adventure, or in this foundation she started. She's gone, as you've heard just now, she's kind of done some crazy stuff, and she'll admit it with pride. It's all over the PETA website. And again, Trey's still sitting here thinking about being naked all the time with pigs, and then the porn.
Then I can send the videos.
And then the
Pornhub
thing came up earlier tonight, and he's ready. But to go do what she's done, whether you believe in the cause like she does or not.
Yeah.
You have to admire the passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
The intensity. And that's why we're so happy to have her. I know she did an interview. The one question I meant to ask her was, she did an interview with Bill Maher, which is big. I mean, Bill Maher, I respect the guy. I've been up and down on him over the years, but he'll tell it like it is. I've been up and down on his stances, Trey.
Okay.
And she was on with like Megyn Kelly, who's a little bit right leaning, and I wondered how. I need to go back and look at it. Maybe I'll find it on YouTube or something. But
yeah.
And so it was just really cool to have her on, and so I didn't want to harp on her too much about some of the petty things that I've heard over the years about PETA. It was more about her intensity, her passion for it, and a couple other things along the way. So I hope.
Well, maybe she'll come back on.
I hope so. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We did. We talked briefly about it on the show with her. But what'd you think about the vegan food now that we're not with her?
Actually, it was good.
Okay, so you weren't just lying to her?
No. Actually, it was. I told somebody today that's a vegetarian. I was telling her if I could have had a chance to order the burgers without the lettuce and tomatoes and onions,
Right.
I would have ate it, no problem.
Right. We're activists for the
lettuce and tomatoes. Yeah,
they're living things, and we're trying to get everybody to stop eating that shit.
Yeah, because I need my beef to eat that. But no, seriously, if I had a chance to order the food
grass fed,
the tray way, then yeah, it would have been a lot better.
With none of the
without
no
the extra
onions
lettuce and onions
and all that. If you could have just had like the sauce, and the
weird cheese and bacon,
the weird cheese, bacon, and meat.
The crinkle fries, crinkle fries are really good.
Well, they're just French fries, Trey. Yeah. I don't think there's anything.
They weren't vegan French fries.
I think other than maybe frying them in animal fat, which some restaurants do. They're just normal fries. Like if you went and bought some at the store.
So it's vegan fat.
It was vegan fat, right?
Okay.
But I can't lie. I liked it too.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's easy to get somebody with burger and fries and slop. It's not like they sent over, carrots and shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we just got a tray of veggies. Good luck.
That would have sucked.
Yeah,
I would not have done that.
You and I pounded that food.
Yeah, we did.
And I was stuffed.
Yeah.
So we'll give a shout out to the Slutty Vegan.
Slutty Vegan,
of the place that delivered, and we really appreciate it directly from PETA to try and get Trey, as you heard. Ingrid is very adamant that Trey stay on the vegan path. She didn't seem to care about me as much. She was all about Trey. She was like, Trey, you're going to do this.
Yeah.
So you and Ryan can handle it. So
right.
She's on you.
Yeah.
I think she sensed that I was willing to try it, and you were kind of.
I tried it though.
You did.
It was good.
It was good.
Once a year thing.
Once a year. Or if Ingrid agrees to come back,
I'll eat it again. Yeah.
We'll do it again.
I'll order it myself and get it the way I want it though.
We'll pay, guys. Don't worry about it. All it is a piece of the fake meat.
Yeah.
Cheese and ketchup.
And the vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah, what was in that? I tried to ask her on as you heard, but
just vegan.
Yeah. Anyway, I had a blast. It was probably if we had to admit it, our biggest guest thus far. No offense to Tim. Or Chris, World War II enthusiast, or even Manny, or Ryan,
the other Ryan.
I mean, we've had a lot of guests on, but Ingrid Newkirk was pretty special for us.
Absolutely.
So I hope you enjoyed that too, Trey.
Thank you, Nicole, for setting that up.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole, and we'll go from there. I hope again, I'll say it one more time. I hope everybody enjoyed, and come at us with questions because I definitely still have them, and I really do like talking to people that have different views, and that's what Ingrid has. Not all of them. I have made it clear that I'm against animal cruelty in the interview, but Trey and I really like meat. We just like it.
Yeah, I don't like my meat bruised though, so I kind of see her point there.
You don't want any kind of harm coming to the animals because it will ruin
the meal,
the patty, right?
Yeah.
When you people go, well, are you going to stop? I said, I'm still going to get that Whataburger every once in a while. Like it just, you can't, I don't think you can turn it off.
Yeah.
And
maybe I'll make different decisions sometimes. But yeah, it's hard just to make that switch.
I will look into things, and if there's a way, and that's what I would challenge people like us who aren't quite, PETA people, I would call them, and also aren't the other side of things, which is like, let's just hunt everything and kill it all, and who cares?
Maybe I'll get a single more often instead of the double.
There you go. See, there you go. I think that she would be quite proud of you for.
That helps out, right?
I'll eat the other, the other part.
I won't add bacon.
Yeah, well, that's tough though.
That is tough.
Whatever. But I just, that's all I want to do is hear, listen, learn, hear her side of it. Somebody that's so passionate that I don't get. I like animals too. I didn't even say love. I don't want any of them hurt. I don't want them to suffer. But come on.
Yeah, I'm a dog lover. I can't say I love.
She talked about her dog.
Yeah.
Were you teared up at all, or
no?
No. It was early. We were nervous still. Maybe
that's what it was.
Maybe towards the end.
Yeah.
But she did all. Well, she talked about it at the end there, where dogs were chained up, and that actually surprised me.
Yeah.
If we want to recap a little bit, I was surprised that was her answer for the most gruesome, gory thing vile thing she's ever seen. And she's talked about dogs being tied up, and I get it. That's horrible. But the most, I have to admit,
especially at the monkey ones the very first one that she walked into the lab.
I did, muscles coming out of their arm. I felt like I was expecting something different. Now I totally respect her answer. That's as you see on the monitor here, she's a big time dog lover.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're a dog lover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike them. I mean, I love dogs, but I haven't owned one myself.
Yeah.
My family had them growing up, but to the idea that they would be tied up like that, far away in the heat, especially here in Texas.
Yeah,
man, I just want to beat the shit out of the owners that do that. Come on,
it is pretty shitty.
It's really shitty. So that was that. We'll leave you with that and let you soak in that interview, and hopefully we'll continue our PETA stories. Get back to us about the crabs. Trey's won't be able to sleep tonight.
Speaking of Pornhub,
God, oh man, I mean I've heard of this Pornhub before, but I'm definitely not going to watch it now. The possibility of you
come up
and
here with a new car, some
all
new
of a
clothes.
sudden I'll be like,
you're
what?
like,
yeah, what are you doing right now?
Pornhub's legit.
Real fast before we end, since you got this long, wonderful interview with Ingrid Newkirk. Yeah, thank you, Ingrid, and we hope to talk with you soon. But we do butthurt comments of the week, right?
Yes.
Or of the show, to the show, whatever. And I wanted to mention this one person because they're absolutely insane.
All right. Was it my mom again?
Yeah. Miss Nielsen. Come on. Mrs. Nielsen. Sorry, Mom. I just have an issue with people who, because I know it's these assholes that are the ones that are hitting buttons, that are reporting, that are causing issues with social media because they disagree with something or they misinterpret something. And I'm going to give you an example, but I'm going to call this person out. And I hope this psycho is listening because this person is insane.
Do we want to call him out if he's a psycho? What if his mom lets him out of the basement?
All right, yeah. All right. He's not a psycho. He is entitled to his opinion as well. But his opinion's fucking idiot. It's stupid. It's dumb.
He's stupid.
Because he just doesn't... First off, this guy... I'm assuming it's a guy, actually. His handle is at Nunya Business 5075.
Shit, that is...
With a big N in the profile picture. That's it.
The big N.
And this person...
Oh, so you don't know if it's male or female?
No, I don't. This person...
I mean,
I don't think women are this stupid. And our women listeners are back.
Yeah.
This person has this complex and genuinely believes that somebody is deleting this person's posts. Every post is like, oh, you had to delete it again because I won the argument, and then here she starts calling out other people replying, not even us.
Really?
You deleted it, and they're like, what are you talking about? And I've said 16 times, I haven't touched your posts. We believe in listening to everybody, and I mean that, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we do. And this person comes on and is just like, This is the third time I've posted this paragraph, and it's copied and pasted. This is the fourth time. They go to 18 posts. You keep deleting them. Trey, I said, I'm looking at all 18 of your posts. You look insane. People can see this.
Crap.
No one's going to read all of this nonsense.
It's on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
So people go look at our page on YouTube, like and subscribe. But look at this person and tell me, and I need to stop responding. I just need to stop responding.
Yeah. Stop deleting and stop responding.
I have not. I swear to you. None of your business 5075. I've not touched your I'm looking at them all right now. All 67 of them. God. And then the last one was finally like, well, let's see how long this one takes to get deleted. And blah blah blah. It just goes off. And one of my comments was maybe it's because all you do is insult everybody. And
that's not cool.
It's all this person does and they've got like little clever names for everybody, for Trump and Trump followers, and even though we're not, I've said it a million times, we're not MAGA. This is not what we do. We believe that one candidate is better than the other. Sadly, that's where we're going. So
I have to go find this because I want to see all these posts.
Go look at it, and people again go to Stay in the Gray podcast YouTube page. I've got it all over our social media. I keep throwing our YouTube up there because they're working hard on their podcast page and kind of wanting to host podcasts, and I love it at YouTube. YouTube's fantastic.
Nice.
So subscribe. I mean, when I say subscribe, people are like, well, how much is it? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? It's free. They just call it subscribe. It's kind of like hitting follow or like, for fuck's sakes. Just hit subscribe.
Yep.
You're not going to get billed.
And they get notified when our next show comes out. Or clips or anything.
Clips, funny things that we post. And if you don't like us, subscribe so that you can see the next thing that you want to bitch about.
Exactly.
And you might make butthurt comment of the week. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's quite as psychotic as this person.
He may be on the next one, or they may be on the next one.
I don't know, whoever this is. So none of your business 5075. Take it easy. And it was all a response to Charlie Kirk. If you remember, we did a quick bit about Charlie. And I don't have a problem with Charlie. I'm not vehemently defending him like this person's claiming at all. I just said we said Charlie's it was interesting to me that he thought that college wasn't worth it anymore, and it gave me something to think about. If that's defending him and like with my life, like this person's claiming, come on. And he has a serious problem with Charlie Kirk. So I wanted to mention that you don't need to comment if you hate us. I mean, this person gave us a lot of interaction, but you don't have to comment. You just if you don't like it, just move on.
But subscribe first.
But hit subscribe and then move the fuck.
And then move on.
Move on to the next person and hit subscribe. You know what? Subscribe to them too.
Absolutely.
We are a big network here, and we support everybody.
Just subscribe to everybody.
Just subscribe. So everybody, chill the hell out. We have the official announcement, Trey, of the first debate. Did you hear that?
I saw the text messages going back and forth today. So yeah, is there a date?
So it's going to be in June. I don't remember the exact date, but it's a month away.
Well, keep me posted.
And we're going to watch this shit. Joe can't even talk, Trey. What's he going to do?
That'd be great if it's on the night of a show. We can have the debates on during the show.
Well, we can make that happen, obviously, or we can record it. But we'll pretend we're one of the news CNN or Fox, and we'll just sit here and analyze it all night.
Can you believe what he just said?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Joe just grabbed his vanilla pudding. Donald
Is Joe really asleep right now?
I think when the camera with his eyes, how is he sleeping with his eyes open?
Did he really just lay down on stage?
Trump, when the camera wasn't looking, threw a pin at his head when he was down on the ground. And I think he just kicked him as he was walking to give his answer.
Shit.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be fun. But the fact that these two are fighting to be the leaders of our free world is crazy to me. But we're going to try and enjoy it. I just don't know how Joe's going to talk. And a lot of the Biden supporters seem pretty optimistic, and I'm kind of confused by that. Joe's going to kick his ass. Joe can't walk or talk. How is he going to win a debate against a guy that won't shut up?
Right.
Like me. And on that note, we'll move on, and I look forward to the next show. I think it'll be Trey and myself back, and we've got so much to talk about, and I look forward to that. But hope you guys enjoyed Ingrid. She was amazing. Check out PETA. Look at their stuff, and if you're not feeling it, at least be open to understanding why they feel the way they do. And if you got to keep eating meat, who am I to tell you otherwise?
Right.
You just have to deal with Ingrid.
Yeah.
Right. All right, buddy. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Love you guys.
No bias here, just the facts and the fair. We look at both sides, do our best to compare. In this podcast realm where we compromise, balance is key and the facts don't lie. Stay in the gray where perspectives intertwine. We seek the truth in the gray we define. In this podcast journey, minds open wide. Shades the truth on this impartial ride.
You think Ingrid would get mad if I wore my little bunny outfit for my first Pornhub video I sent in? I mean, that's $36,000.
I forgot about the Pornhub. I just thought you were going to say bunny outfit. I was okay with that. If you don't wear the bunny outfit now, I'm going to have an issue. You have to wear it.
Done.
Next time we interview, though, I plan to have some sort of raccoon hat or.
Yeah.
We love you, Ingrid. We're sorry. We're just giving you a hard
Thanks,
time.
Ingrid.
The image of you with bunny outfit and Pornhub. Not going to be able to sleep.